What was the impact of the Civil Rights Act of 1875 and its subsequent weakening? Have you ever wondered how a single piece of legislation could shape the course of history? The Civil Rights Act of 1875 is one such example. This law was passed during the Reconstruction era, a time when the United States was trying to heal after the American Civil War. The main goal of the act was to ensure that African Americans received equal treatment in public places like restaurants, theaters, and on public transportation. It also aimed to guarantee their right to serve on juries. The act was a bold statement affirming that all individuals should be treated equally under the law. It made it illegal to deny these rights based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. However, despite its ambitious goals, the act struggled to make a real impact. Enforcement was weak, and racial attitudes, especially in the southern states, remained largely unchanged. The Civil Rights Act of 1875 was the last major federal civil rights legislation during the Reconstruction period. It was meant to solidify the progress made by the Reconstruction Amendments, which abolished slavery and protected voting rights. But the act faced a significant setback in 1883 when the United States Supreme Court ruled against it in the Civil Rights Cases decision. The court decided that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment only applied to state actions and did not give Congress the power to regulate private acts of discrimination. This ruling effectively declared the Civil Rights Act of 1875 unconstitutional. As a result, the act lost its legal force, paving the way for widespread segregation and discrimination, particularly in the South. The weakening of this act had serious consequences. It allowed states and private businesses to legally enforce segregation. This led to the establishment of Jim Crow laws, which enforced racial segregation and discrimination for many years. The legal environment created by the weakening of the act persisted for decades, reinforcing racial inequality until the civil rights movement of the mid-20th century. During this movement, new federal legislation, such as the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 and 1968, was introduced. These later acts successfully outlawed segregation and discrimination in public accommodations, relying on different constitutional grounds. In essence, the Civil Rights Act of 1875 was a significant attempt to guarantee equal rights for African Americans after the Civil War. However, its impact was limited by poor enforcement and ultimately nullified by the Supreme Court's ruling. This weakening allowed legalized segregation to flourish, delaying the full realization of civil rights for African Americans until much later in history.